My name is Alicia Collins, and I am the Director of Creative Learning at Brilliant Lab. I'm very pleased to introduce Midushi Kochhar, our today's speaker. Midushi is an industrial designer based in Netherlands, and her work has gotten her global recognition for integrating circular design to attain sustainability. Today, she will share with us some of her groundbreaking work and her talk with us about her motivation. So again, very great to have you, Midushi. Welcome to our session, and very looking forward to hear your stories and projects.
Thank you so much, Alicia, for the introduction. Thanks for being here, everyone. And I would just quickly start the talk now. So we call it Workable Circular Systems for Design and Education. And this is basically about my journey as a designer and how I work with waste materials and materials where no one else is looking at for any value, and how this can be implemented.
Midushi, we lost your sound. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, everything okay?
Yes, we can hear you now again.
Okay, yeah, so I will start with what made me curious about materials. So as a child, I think we all are curious about our surroundings, about that little stone or that shell that we find on the street or on the beach. And a lot of us used to collect these things and bring them home. Now, for some reason, this little practice, this childlike practice never left me. And I kept on collecting weird and strange things in my natural urban surroundings. And somehow I saw beauty and value in these items, which did not have a real usage, which were just basically decaying, but there was something.
Sorry, we lost your audio again.
Hello?
We can hear you. We keep losing your audio. Hi.
Yeah, hi. I don't know why that is happening, but I'm just gonna keep continuing.
Yeah, we heard till the part about collecting the materials, and that seemed to be of no use till that part.
Yeah. But the thing that was most interesting for me was that nature doesn't have anything as waste. It's us humans who have created these systems where we have created heaps and heaps of things that we think don't have value because there is no monetary usage to it. Now, coming from India, where we do have a lot of these, say, unofficial systems, where a lot of the waste materials are being circulated, upcycled, recycled in different ways. And when I moved to the West, I did not see those kind of things happening. Something as simple as repair became extremely expensive. So people just find it easier to discard the things that could have been repaired, and this keeps on adding to the waste itself. Coming to the third part, making, I was always interested in using my hands. Hello?
Yeah, audio's back.
Yeah, so this was my motivation to work with materials, and all these things coming together, working with nature, having the background of recyclability, or using anything that comes around us naturally, and using our hands, using our physical skills to create something, was my motivations to work with materials. So I would want to now take you through some of the materials that I've worked with, people that have inspired me, and how maybe you can also in your own kitchens or classrooms start working with things that are around you, which you probably would not have looked at earlier with this keen eye. So first, material, or rather the brand now, is called Hasiru, which comes from this palm tree, which is native to India. Um, while I was working on this project in my university, I came across this um, bunch of leaves that naturally fall down in a specific season. And the area where I was based in was, or is, the highest producer of this leaf, and it just stays there. And because these are plantations, at the end, when most of this material is not being used, they have to just burn it away. So it not just hello.
Hello, Midushi. We can now hear you.
um
Yeah, while he's suggesting stop the camera, maybe we can hear the audio better with the bandwidth.
okay, yeah, I'm gonna.
Hey everyone, thanks for being patient with the audio.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Mm, sorry, what was the last bit that you heard about
Uh,
Hasiru?
you were saying that a lot of waste gets burnt. They naturally fall,
Yeah,
and then it's
even if it's a naturally fallen material, because it's so much in volume that they have to burn it at the end, a lot of this material. So I started experimenting with this material, which is native to that area. Um, and for forever, no one actually looked at it from a perspective of design. Um, this was falling off since many years, but the only innovation that had happened with this material, which is areca palm, was the tableware. So basic plates and cutlery is being made, but that is also not, you are still not utilizing the extensive material that we have. And it only changes just a few of the properties. So I started testing what other ways can we use to manipulate this, and what can it become. So after a lot of testing, you can see that on the left, these are the leaves which are hard and dry. But once you soak them in water, they become malleable. So I started doing some tests where we can keep this material in moisture or malleable throughout, and see what we can make with it. Because as you can see, these are quite wide, about 2 to 3 feet in length, about one and a half feet in width. So it's quite big. It's almost A4 or slightly bigger piece that you can get from each leaf. So there's loads of things that you can create from this. And one of them, a few of those uh, outputs are this footwear and our regular stationery or homeware items. Now, footwear we focused on for hospitality, because when we go to the hotels and get the white polyester slippers, they are meant for just one time usage and then they are thrown away. These slippers that we are now offering to hotels are biodegradable, made from waste. And once the guest takes these slippers home, they can use it for quite some time. And when they discard them, it doesn't add to the waste. So there's a novelty value to it. We upgraded the designs as well. So it's not just the regular closed foot slippers for hotels. Um, so yeah, there was this value addition of, to the material, and also for the hotels who want to offer special, unique, sustainable items for their guests. Um, Next materials is eggware. Um, Now, this is something very similar to concrete or ceramics. That's why we call it eggware. But in terms of making, there is no heat involved. And where regular ceramics are usually baked up till 2000 degrees Celsius, these ceramics are completely air dried. And where ceramics, in regular ceramics, 30% of the output is damaged or rejected. um, Whatever rejected pieces we get, we crush them and then we use them again. Now, why I started working with eggs was I was looking for easy to access waste in my household. I tried peels and seeds, um, some food wrappers as well, and eggs was something that I felt was available in each and every household all over the world. It's used in all cultures. So I started collecting these eggshells, and within the research, I realized that there are 1200 billion units of eggs being used all over the world, and the shells, which are pure source of calcium carbonate, have no um, are just being thrown away, or again incinerated when I get it from a huge manufacturing unit. Um, on one side, we are excavating for calcium, which is for lime, for construction, for all sorts of different usage. On the other hand, we have eggshells and shells of other um uh, animals like lobster, crab, clams, even oysters, which are all different sources of calcium and other minerals that are being consumed for food, but their rest of the part is being thrown away. So I started contacting egg processing units around my place and came across this one place that separates egg whites from eggshells. And again, at the end, because there's so much eggshells that they have to get rid of, they have to incinerate this material. So I wanted to bring this back into the system and see where it can go, what the applications can be. So what we do is bring these eggshells, boil them with water so that they're properly sanitized, and then crush them into fine powder, and then add our biobinders or a water-based binder to get a strong compressive shape. Some of the results are, as you can see on your screen. It can be applied in, as you can see, tableware, decorative items, accessories. And these are from design point of view. But more interesting, or say further research that I'm more interested in would be, can this material be applied in construction, where already it is, calcium is being used, but what if we have this animal based calcium or animal waste based calcium, and can this be applied, can this be one of the alternatives um, that can be used in the construction industry. Since it's calcium, can it be used in cosmetics or food industry? So there are these lots of different arenas that we can get into, which have very strict standards and control. But this is something that interests me. If we can propose some alternatives which are made from waste. Um, if anyone is interested in doing experiments on their own, I would like to share this website called Materium. I hope
Medushi's
you can see.
recipes are available on the Materium, and in fact, with our biomaking initiative, we have actually used some of her thing to explain like this food composite, and we also use eggshells. So it's actually due to her contribution that we've been able to do all
Okay,
this in classrooms.
cool. So that's amazing that you are already using these recipes. Apart from eggshells, there are all sorts of different um, natural waste materials that you can find, and then there are binders, and you can always do your own combinations and see what works, what kind of results you want: flexible, hard, water resistant, water absorbent, all sorts of different experiments you can do. um, so this is mostly the starting point for most of the material researchers or designers, researchers coming from a creative background, if I can say. So that's where we start, and then we branch out to our own little inventions or innovations. Mm. Some of the inspiring projects that could be nice for you to see. Um, One of them is human material loop. So you see the sweater that the model is wearing is actually made from human hair. Now, again, the designer um, the designer discovered the huge amounts of hair that are being or cut hair that are being produced in salons, and a lot of rituals as well. And human hair is one of the strongest fiber that is known to us. And again, this was earlier just being wasted. So the designer started collecting hair from small salons, and after a lot of experimentations, the sweater you can see is properly knit on a yarn, uh, on the machine, and it's quite soft and wearable. They are still in a startup level, but of course they are um, looking to expand. Again, lots of possibilities with human based wool. At first, a lot of people have this reaction that this sounds a bit disgusting, but if you do think of leather, that is animal skin, which we processed over years and years, and it is the luxurious, everlasting material that we use for everything today. So this idea of disgust, or this idea of waste in our mind, is I think something that needs to transition. From waste, we need to look at things or everything around us as valuable. Now, I don't say add monetary value to whatever trash you find, but there is something that um, that trash can produce once it is not perceived as trash. Um, the second picture is from Studio Samite, and the rug you can see is made from pine wood, but not the wood, just the bark of the tree. So very meticulously, the designer carves out the bark and then binds it all together. So this becomes a very high-end collectible item, completely made from bark that is fallen off. So um, again, something that you would not think has any beauty really. Um, when thought of creatively, can be of a lot of importance. The last picture, there's this vase and a uh, platter that you can see is made from um, poultry blood. So the designer added some binder to the blood, which was, I think it was powdered down, dried and then powdered. And so if you remove again the idea of disgust from your mind, you would realize that if an animal is being killed for human usage, only 30 to 40 to 50% of the um, entire mass of the animal is being used for meat. Rest, which is blood, bones, all the organs, these are all thrown away and in large quantities. Now, if an animal is being slaughtered for human usage, it is within the ecosystem of sustainability to use each and every um, uh, body part that comes out of it. Now, this is not an argument about being vegetarian or non-vegetarian, vegan. It is simply now if the pig is a commodity, then why is the 60% of it being thrown away? Um, so this was some kind of this is not just production of objects, but the ideas of how our food production systems work and how wasteful they are, and what could be greener alternatives within the system. Lastly, I would want to take you through Makers on the Move. This is our initiative based in Arnhem, where we collect a lot of waste um, in and around our city from local manufacturers and apply them in maker education lessons. Now, the waste that we take or collect from our surroundings are either um, non-recyclable, or they are not in huge quantities for anyone to make the effort of separating it and then throwing it. And as we know, recycling it doesn't happen on a large scale. It's less than 5% all over the world. So even if we are separating and discarding things in a proper manner, there are very low chances of it being ever recycled. So what we do here at Makers on the Move on a very small scale is collect these certain waste and supply it to schools for their activities. Now, schools already have maker education lessons, and they already need materials to communicate those ideas. And those materials we supply to the schools. Um, Not just the materials, we even design the lessons around the material and bring in sustainability in all um, themes, be it entrepreneurship, be it science, be it art, everything. We make sure that children are sensitive enough to realize that these are upcycled materials. There was effort in collecting them, processing them, and supplying it to them. And through this, we hope that as they grow older, they imbibe these values of not just throwing away things after one use. What could be the use of a certain thing once its primary use is over? Yeah. Um, Yeah, that's, I think, so this is not even focused for just the adults, but starting from 5 years of age up till university level, there are all sorts of different activities that we design and use the materials that come from a particular company. Now, the interesting thing that has happened here is that companies are also looking for ways to get rid of their waste. So they contact us that, listen, this is what we have. Do you think you can use it somewhere? Or um, this is what we're looking for, this particular thing. Do you think you can find this materials for us? And we try to become this bridge between industries and schools, um, and making disposal of materials easier. And yeah, so it's a nice circular system that everyone around us at least wants to be a part of. And this kind of a loop, we feel is quite easy to establish in any city. So all the art and crafts, or any project that needs materials, science projects, or um, your theater productions, everything can be created with the materials that are around us. It doesn't have to be bought, it doesn't have to be clean and shiny all the time. There are ways to make things look beautiful and brand new if you have the eye for it, if you have the motivation um, to do so. So I think this is the end of our talk, and I would like to take you to our material bank where we store all these materials. I'm going to put my video on.
And as Midushi is giving a tour of her space, if you would like to see more clearly on every video here, you'll see a 4 arrow on the top right corner. So you can click on it so you can see it bigger on your screen.
Mm-hmm. So this material bank is a physical space that we have created over the past 2 years. So we started in COVID, and we have small samples or small quantities of this waste that we collect. And if and when we need more of certain material, we again contact the provider, and then mostly they're happy to give them to us for free. And this is, till now, it's a non-for-profit organization. We don't charge for materials. Yeah, so it's open for even artists, designers, teachers to contact us and come and look at our materials, use them, apply them. Yeah, so I hope you like our space. I'm going to take you through it now. So we have lots of cardboard here. We have, so it's a mix of a lot of strange things sometimes. We have violin cases, for example. We've been thinking where we can apply them, but I hope soon we will be able to. We have these pots made from paper pulp. We have projected boxes. These are completely flat packed right now. We have fiber sheets, lots of plastic, different sorts of plastic. Again, some fiber here. We have metal, lots of bike parts. We have sawdust, offcuts of laser cutting, bottle caps. There's some wire here. And if you can see the whole space we created again with all things that we found on our scavenge hunts, um, these circular, tubular cardboards have are quite strong. So we didn't even have to stick all these pieces. They're just screwed on one side. And this is another storage that we created. You have metal,
It,
straws. Then there are these.
Midushi, the video froze again for us.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, sorry, the video froze. It's great, very organized space. We have a question from Mark. He's sharing that love the material bank. Does the material bank take back the material again? How does that work?
We, yeah, so what we do is, take a seat again. Yes. So we do take as much as material that hasn't been completely shredded down to pieces. So as much as we can take back, we take it. Yeah, it's quite even like cut paper, we bring it back if there, because somehow we are able to find use of everything around. If not here, some other person will see, okay, this size is exactly what we need. For example, in a hospital, we didn't know this, but earlier, but someone within a hospital came to us and said that um, after one usage, they have to discard everything that they were wearing, all the batteries, all the equipment, everything has to be thrown away because of extremely high chances of infection, this and that, and batteries because while an operation is happening, what if the battery stops? So even if they use just 5% of the battery, I'm sorry, I went on a different tangent. But then so there were this big boxes of unused batteries that were not like, what happens to them? Nothing happens. So we brought them in and then we started using them in our STEM lessons, for example. And then batteries is not something that will go waste after just one lesson. So you just bring it back.
That's exciting. We mentioned the word circularity or circular systems. If you were to describe it, like what it is, how would you share, like for people who don't know what is circular design or circular system?
Yeah, so in my mind, circularity is waste from one process becomes resource for the next, and then the waste from this process becomes the resource for the next. So there is no real waste. There is a transfer of materials, which is basically what happens in nature. Yeah. So I think in the easiest form, that is circularity.
And we love that there's a level of like how you were sourcing the materials. Do you have any advice for everybody who's interested in starting initiative or working on design? Like how would they seek partnerships and how they explore the potential of material? Because it's like everywhere, right? So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
would you suggest?
Mm, I think it's a good idea to start small and do to get an idea if this is something that people would feel is interesting, or if there's enough of a certain type of material around your area. Yeah. Um, Sorry. So you have to, it's easier to convince people when there is something, when there is a proof of concept. So you have to be able to create your experiments that can express, yeah, that there is something.
We lost you again with the audio. Now we can hear you. Sorry, it keeps disconnecting. And thank you for sharing that. So for those people who are here, we also have circular making challenge that's going on. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's still like we're very interested that learning from you and hoping that all the students and teachers who are participating in this challenge can explore. And it's great. Like I was curious about when we see the creative potential, and as you suggested, start small. But have you faced any challenges working within circular systems? So anything that we should be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many challenges. One of them, one of the bigger picture challenge is that since our systems are not created for circularity, it's difficult to convince industries or big companies that um, what if you do give me this material, this is not, sorry, let me, I mean, so first is that the machines are not made for these materials. So each and every machine was, kind of hacked, or each and every process is a bit hacked, and you have to find ways to make these materials work. So it's not that easy. That, of course, when you start small, your experiments work, and I mean, you can see a lot of potential in it's in its usability. But when you make it bigger, um, there are a lot of the differences that happen in the recipes. The machines that you want to use might not work with the material that you want because the machines were not built for this. Then you start making a separate machine. So there's this again, this loop that you have to keep going back and forth. Um, yeah, and if you want to approach a company, most of the times they would say that no, we don't have any waste, we don't produce any waste. But if you can find a way to just have keep them involved in a conversation, and then you can just ask, oh, what is that? What is that material? What do you do with it?
Sorry, we lost again. But as I'm reaching out to Midushi, I'm curious from everybody here attending this talk, like if you were thinking about exploring some of these materials, what kind of ideas do you have? And I guess echoing what Midushi just mentioned, that sometimes things don't seem like a waste. You think like, oh, we are taking care of it. But as you mentioned, even in the project with the animals, like, we think about a project as a whole. Even I have like this water bottle, and if it goes like thinking about producing of it like tiny bits, um, sometimes the waste we don't see in front of
Yeah.
us, and that's, I think, very beautifully explained, Madishi, that sometimes we need to start looking into even how we perceive waste, and kind of back tracing where material come from. I was curious about the storage. If you're thinking about long and not knowing, like if you're thinking at a bigger scales, will they need again like the special treatment because some things might be biodegradable? Um, and working with this, like what are some suggestions, or even if there's something you can see from.
I'm not too sure about the question. Storage of what kind of material?
So I'm thinking about the challenges if, let's say, you're interested in working with biomaterials. One of the challenges that people face is storage, because some of these things can be like are biodegradable, not as fast. Um, but what can young people do as they're working with these experiments? Do they need to consider the storage of these things while the processing is happening? Um,
So one thing point out here is that because these are all natural materials, they have a nature of their own, and we can't control everything within that system. And it's also sometimes good for the material to behave on its own without human intervention. Yeah, so we don't want to be controlling it the whole time. But in terms of it getting moldy or just disintegrating, um, can there be application it disintegrating at a particular point in its cycle? Is there something within that, I don't know, 1 week time where it can be used for 1 week and then disintegrate? You know, if a use can come out of it in a way is also interesting.
So you mean like as people are designing things with circular making in mind, not just they just don't need to think about where it's coming from, but also kind of anticipate where it's going, and look into all those aspects, like eventually, and what like how it would further be part of that loop, and eventually go back to nature.
Yeah, yeah, you put it quite accurately.
Anybody else have any questions for Midushi? As they're typing, I would like to say we couldn't see some of the things very clearly. It would be great if you can send us some pictures of your space, and I can share with the
Oh,
participants at the
okay,
top.
sure.
It was very beautiful. I think even just as a space, so well thought out, because then you really see the materials with their creative potential and not as a waste. So I love the whole organization a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's quite fun. Like anyone can just walk in and they tell us, okay, do you have something? It's sometimes it's very specific. Do you have a card this size? Like one, you can't see me. Okay, but like A5. Like, yeah, probably. And we look around and it's just there, you know? So it's a good space, good creative space to work in.
Well, thank you. That was very great presentation, and I apologize for all the tech issues. Really not sure what was going on with the audio. Samantha has a question um, about hotel slippers. I'm
Mhm.
wondering if they are more expensive than disposable slippers.
That's a good question. And the answer is yes. They are slightly expensive than the hotel slipper. This is a challenge that we are facing currently to convince the hotels to switch to these. But if you do into the nitty gritties of what the white slippers are made of, for one time usage, um, it's quite a disaster. And
Hmm.
hospitality, as we know, is again one of the biggest producers of waste with their tiny little hotel amenities, which
Hmm.
is being used once. And so, one addition that you can add, um, and from a hello,
Yeah, we can hear you.
and from an ethical perspective, this is not coming. um, I'm pretty sure that like hotels don't agree with this mindset, but um, you know, it would they charge hundreds of dollars for one room, and the slippers cost point like 30 cents, the white slippers. So if you see that, that's a very low cost item.
Hmm.
Uh, Now our slippers are slightly more expensive, but in the totality of what you pay for the room, it's very low, the amount. So it's a ongoing challenge.
Yeah, sorry, I have Angela is asking, do you own any hair or blood clothes?
Not yet. These are all uh, at a starting point of the yeah, just starting off as materials. But I have seen them, I have felt them, and they look and feel as normal as any other materials.
Yeah, I should mention that Minushi's projects have been really, really showcased at a lot of design challenges and also like things. So that's where I think she's gotten a chance to see other work too.
Mhm.
I want to echo a little bit about this issue of accessibility. Like We are, and it's not like in our hands, but this general issue when we think about sustainable materials or products, they are coming at a cost in a way that it's not
Yeah.
as accessible to everybody. But I also want to acknowledge when we think about the example that you gave about the slippers, for instance, again, thinking about the whole circularity, like if those 30 cents, the very cheap slippers, what happens when they get discarded? Like you need a place to dump that trash. So thinking about that land or who's paying for that space or where it's going. So when we consider cost, I think these are also these things that we don't understand or even see
Yeah.
because it's part of the system design. But I guess as we are designing, I don't know how you work with like the companies and stuff. I mean, just initiating the conversation because you have worked with the government too over there.
Mhm.
How would you start this conversation with them?
Mm, I think mostly governments are welcoming of these conversations. They are open. They want such solutions. If they are, it's interesting because they want the solutions, but at the same price as your petrochemical solutions, which is the challenge here.
Mm,
Um, these the accessibility is a problem. One, because as I was saying that the machines, for example, the machines are not these materials. So we are making the entire system of something as small as a slipper. Hence, the price goes slightly. Compare it with your regular slippers that you wear at home. These are not expensive. They are same or slightly cheaper. Why hospitality is something we targeted? It's a much bigger chunk of waste that comes, right? So coming back to the government related question, mm,
um, I think we lost you again, Vidushi. Um, but, but anyway, we are also reaching the end of our talk. I would really like to thank you on behalf of Whole Brilliant Labs for sharing about your work with us. And thank you everybody else for joining. I think Angela is asking this one last question, Midushi, if you can answer is what is your favorite part of the job? And then we'll let everybody go.
oh, I think research, yeah, getting into the material, cutting it, burning it, frying it, drying it, the hands-on bit is the most interesting part. Yeah,
That
it's
works
also
great.
the most
Okay.
challenging and it's also the most irritating sometimes because if you don't get to the result that you're looking for, it becomes very frustrating. But again, you have to tell yourself that that is the part, is one part of the process. And a lot of times, I'm not kidding, but a lot of times you reach different results which are even better than what you would have anticipated. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Again, thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing those pictures again.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm going to send those to you.
well, bye, everybody.